This is what we're going to be aiming for today. In about a half an hour webinar, spoke to the panelists beforehand, and we're all eager for it not to drag too long into the evening because we know what it's like in those first couple of weeks back, and we'd love you to be able to enjoy your evening. So we're going to be looking at where we are, Quizizz UK, and welcoming aboard educators from Ireland as well. Looking at why you might want to go down the Quizizz route if you're just kind of just taking those first few steps. And if you are a bit more of a veteran user, how we've got some brilliant new features coming out that we think are really going to benefit you, your teachers, and also students. We're going to be joined by three very special guests today. Really excited for you to meet them. And they are three of our finest UK school champions. And then the other thing that we're going to be looking at is actually what you can do now to help 10x your learning tomorrow. So we launched really properly in the UK at the beginning of this calendar year. I have to be honest, when I joined the Quizizz team, I think that we were really hopeful that we could break through 1,000 schools by kind of Christmas time. But, it was relatively new. It was new ground for us. And then just a couple of days ago, we went through the 2,500 schools and colleges barrier. And that's with 5 teachers or more. So thank you so much to everyone that's on the call that's been a part of that journey. And if you're not yet at that 5 teacher point, we're really excited to be able to work with you and with your schools to get you on board as well. Looking at another question type here, this is a poll question. So what level of Quizizzness are you currently at? Are you new? Are you someone that's dabbled a bit but haven't really jumped in too deep just yet? Is it a regular tool for you? Or maybe you are even an all-star Quizizzer. If you're a UK champion, don't be shy. You can definitely check that box as an all-star, certified all-star. Speaking of which, delighted to be joined very shortly by 3 extremely special guests. We've got Farrah, Matt, and Maggie, and each of those are going to be sharing something that they've really enjoyed and appreciated about using Quizizz in their institution. So can't wait for that. If you're brand new to Quizizz, or maybe if you've not jumped into Quizizz for a while, it is definitely worth covering and clarifying that Quizizz is more than just quizzes. So yes, we have the assessment option, and we're going to be looking at some of those other types today. So we're going to obviously exploring lessons now. We're going to look at flashcards, but do have a look at passages. Think about how you can use your interactive video in your classes as well. And if you're unclear over what those are, then this little animation slide here may help you. So at the top, you can see comprehension passages. This works not only for plain text, but you can put videos and websites in as well. You can either copy and paste them in, you can bring in web articles, or you can even ask AI to generate that story or that comprehension passage for you. And then at the bottom there, we can see what we call interactive videos. Interactive videos are a wonderful opportunity for you to share those tried and tested videos that you've used over the years, but rather than just asking questions at the end of the video, as you can see from the animation at the bottom of the screen there, you can insert points of interactivity along the timeline. Your students can't progress beyond that until they've answered the question. If you've not explored that, lots of videos on the Quizizz YouTube channel and various other things that you can identify across social media. And as we're going to explore later, join our UK community and we'll really be able to help you understand more about all of these features in a really nice, positive vibe with lots of teachers just like you. Lessons. So we're in lessons here. Any quiz that you're working on, you can convert into a lesson. Any slides that you currently have, for example, Google Slides, we actually have a slides add-on, you can convert that into a Quizizz lesson as well. The benefit being is it's not just a kind of chalk and talk where I'm sharing my presentation with you and we're just going through it slide by slide. As we're going to see just on this next slide, you can do some really fun ways to keep everyone engaged, like spinning the wheel. So without any further ado, let's do just that. Okay, jumping over here. This is one of our new features, flashcards. I was really itching to share this with you, but we've actually got Matt Lovegrove, who's joining us from Cognita UK, and he's going to give you a much better demonstration than I ever could. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, so please stick around for that. Mentioned at the start that we have really exploded in the UK, and this has been driven in part by our Free for Schools initiative. Free for Schools initiatives has three pillars: Quizizz AI, content library of over 40 million quizzes, lessons, and other activities, and also 18 different question types for you to be able to engage all of your learners, hopefully all of the time. So we had that number right at the start. How many schools do we have currently that are over that 5+ teacher tier? Is it 1,000? Is it 1,500? 2,000? Or could it, by some miracle, be that really huge number of 2,500 schools and colleges? Let's see how we're doing. I think that we're going down the route of 2,500 schools. And of course, that is correct. So thank you so much. If you're one of those schools or colleges with 5 or more teachers, and also if you're one that isn't quite there yet, please try and get on board because there's so much that you can do with this exclusive UK and Ireland facing initiative. That being said, we have been really excited since the beginning of this academic year and actually over the summer from some very eager beavers of looking to take what they're doing with Free for Schools that little bit further and exploring the schools plan. So you can see there that with the schools plan, we do really help to unlock every learner's potential. And we'd love to speak to you about that to see how we can get that going for you. Okay. Right, some information slides here. We have a UK and Ireland community. You can scan that QR code and it will take you to the Facebook group. We've got about 500 teachers there. And what's great about it is there is lots of engagement all of the time. And if it helps to incentivize your enrollment, we also run very regular competitions where we will be giving out things like Deliveroo vouchers, nice Quizizz Quencher cups, and socks. So just three things to tempt you over into that community. We're going to be sharing these links with you as well after. And yes, so we have grown very nicely in the United Kingdom, and we're really happy to be taking things over to Ireland as well. And also just a shout out to Patrick Hickey, who's going to be really helping us with that to understand how we can do the best for you if you're based over in Ireland. So yeah, looking forward to that immensely. And I'm also looking forward immensely to seeing lots of you guys signing up for our Quizizz Game Changer certification or the Quizizz AI Certified Educator. If for whatever reason those QR codes aren't scanning successfully for you now, you can either find out those links through the Facebook group, or you could just go onto Google and search for Quizizz Certified Game Changer and Quizizz Certified AI Educator. There are tens of thousands of those all over the world. So really encourage you to take that on. Right. I've been hoping to get to this point, so we're now just about to jump into a live demo. So very quickly taking you through these. You will see there's a banner at the top here that may not quite have reached your accounts yet, but we have Oak National Academy resources. So those lessons or those forms, the activities that you may have seen on Oak, we have Quizizified those for you, and you can then jump in and you could use those just as you would any other activity. So please encourage you just to have a look, have an explore there. Also, while I'm on the main dashboard, jump over to where it says Quizizz AI, and I would suggest that you may want to look at the AI toolkit. This is something which we're exploring, and we'd love to get your feedback here. Everything from multiple choice questions, practice worksheets, or maybe you want to create a lesson plan. Have a look, have an explore, let us know what you think. Okay, so couple of things I'm just going to share here. So when you have your when you've got a quiz and you want to share it with your class, if I were going to run this as an asynchronous activity, I'm going to tap on assign. Now, one of the things with asynchronous activities, particularly if it's a homework, is I may not be there. In fact, I probably won't be there if it's a homework activity to give my students immediate feedback. With the solution breakdown toggled on here, we have this AI assist for students. You can see that if a student gets the answer wrong, so the answer here is B, if they click A, they don't just get, this is wrong. They are actually told why it's wrong and how, when they're given the option to reattempt it, perhaps through a redemption question, they actually understand how they can get it right. Currently, this is working for the following subjects: maths, English, social studies, and then we have science, so physics, chemistry, and biology. As a former economics teacher, I was quite interested to explore it here as well. And it did work for economics as well when I put it under the category of social studies. So again, something that we'd love to get your feedback on. This has only just been launched. The team have been working extremely hard on this. So please have a look and just let us know. Two other ways that we're leveraging AI is we have auto evaluate. So this is an open-ended question. If I click on enable, I can either copy and paste the mark scheme or the kind of, this is the way that I'd like it to be graded. Or I can, if I generate with AI, it's going to look at the question and it will then give me the answer that I would expect. At the moment, this is just a right or a wrong, and we're not looking to have this to replace, for example, teachers marking their students' mock papers. And then finally, before I pass over to the champions, we have various different question types, as you will know and as you would have seen in Quizizz. One of those is labeling, and one of the ways that we're looking to use AI in a really purposeful way is to allow you to auto-create labeling questions. So I just had a Google image search from within Quizizz. You can upload your own images, of course. Quizizz AI is analyzing, in this case, it's a picture of the heart, and it will then give me some AI-generated questions I can tap on really easily. So I'm just going to go label the chambers of the heart and use. This becomes the question for my students. I can then share it with them, and they would be able to very nicely and neatly and quickly share that with their students. Okay, right, that is the end of what I wanted to do. I think I've gone 1 or 2 minutes over the time I was hoping for. And that's because I've been so excited to welcome in our Quizizz champions. Now, the first one of those who I'm going to be introducing is Farrah Khalifa. So, Farrah, if you wouldn't mind turning your camera on and your microphone, that would be great. And I can provide an introduction.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Farrah. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Excited by all the features. I've been using Quizizz for a while, but your demo has made me more excited and eager to get back on.
Amazing. And so, as I was saying to everyone before, so Farrah is one of our UK champions, and I'm really excited actually to be learning from you today, Farrah, because as you say, you aren't someone that's brand new to Quizizz, but this particular feature or this particular win that you're sharing is something that you've not been able to do for too long. So, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen and just talking us through this particular example, that would be wonderful. Thank you, Farrah.
Is creating a quiz from a PDF document. It's an absolute game changer, really, really easy to do. So all I do is I've just used an OCR given MCQ, so multiple choice questions that we had, which had the answers here. So all I've done is create a quiz, and then you can do generate with AI, or you can create it from scratch, but I just import it. So you can drag and drop. So I'm just gonna drag that over, drop the file. There we go. And it should upload. You can pick how many questions you want, so automatic, or if you want to cap it, what year group and what topic as well. And then I'm just going to do generate quiz. So while that's generating, it takes less than a minute. And obviously quite important to just double check the answers before you publish it to student. But 9 times out of 10, all of them are correct, and I have no further work to do. The kind of features that Jon mentioned about AI are also available on the quiz. So I'll show you that in a second as well. So as you can see, the quiz is done, 30 questions from there. And then you can also do things like add similar questions, you can translate. So Natalie MFL, that might be a good feature for you to be able to translate it to different languages. And there are different options here as well. You can fix your grammatical spelling errors in case there's anything there. You can add on to explanation. I find this really, really helpful for students to be able to see what their answers are. So it tells you what they should be doing across there as well. So it's kind of like what Jon just showed with lessons, but the quiz equivalent. So save changes, and then you can just rename it to whatever you need it to be and publish it. And once you've published it, there we go. You are free to assign it, or you can start now and do it in live mode. When you assign it or start now, there's different modes you can do it in. So a lot of my students actually are, can we please climb the mountain? And it took me a while to realize that they were talking about this, which is the mastery peak. So what it does is it allows them to retry, and you set the mastery goal here, and what percentage you want them to get before they can kind of move forward and reach the peak of that mountain, which is quite helpful as well. You've also got test mode where they get one option. You can play about with the settings there. And this is another great feature over here where you can assign to classes with Google Classroom and Teams. So you can just assign it straight onto your system that you use. So absolutely great. Absolutely love it.
Wow. Quiz is pretty good, isn't it, Farah?
Very good. And I think the community has been really, really helpful as well. The Facebook group and on Twitter, everyone's really, really keen to share ideas and kind of help out with troubleshooting and stuff. So it's been really great to be a part of the community as well.
Perfect. And on that note, I'm actually going to quickly just put in here a link to the Quizizz UK and Ireland Facebook group. So if you aren't yet a member, please click on that link, and I will approve all the requests to join by the end of the evening. So you'll be able to join in. Not only can you learn about quizzes, but you can also connect with fantastic people like Farah. Farah, thank you so much for sharing. We're now going to hand over the champion reins to Matt Lovegrove. So, Matt, if I could encourage you or ask you to turn on your camera and microphone, and there you are already.
Hello.
Fantastic. Are you able to let us know a little bit about your current position, Matt?
Yeah, hi everyone. It's great to meet you. I'm Matt Lovegrove. I'm an educational technologist working for Cognita Schools. We're one of the biggest school groups in the world, and I have the luxury, the privilege of spending my day thinking about how we can best utilize technology across our school group across the world to increase teacher capacity. That's one of my passions, helping teachers with their workload, but also giving our students the very best opportunities to thrive in our kind of rapidly evolving world at the moment. I was a teacher before joining Cognita. Education's my passion. I'm always going to be in education in some form. And now I spend most of my time training teachers and working with students directly to best support them in the kind of ed tech sphere.
Amazing, Matt. Thank you. And I know that you're. I was so tempted to try to demonstrate flashcards, but I know that you'll give a much better demonstration than I ever could. So if you wouldn't mind taking us through that, that would be absolutely brilliant.
Of course, no worries. For me, this is a game changer in terms of tools for many, many, many reasons. Are you able to see my screen there, Jon? Is it coming up?
Yes,
okay?
yes, perfectly. Thank you, Matt.
Perfect. So when I've taught both primary and secondary, and one of the biggest areas that I struggled with as a teacher was vocab, was definitions, and particularly as a computer science teacher in a secondary school, that the terminology was huge. And I was constantly surprised that my students weren't remembering key definitions and trying to think about ways to encourage them to do that. And I'm sure lots of you will relate to that. It sometimes feels like no matter how many times you talk about things, students don't retain that knowledge. And it's key, isn't it? It's key to everything, having a rich vocabulary. When I saw this on Quizizz, my immediate thought was this is an absolute game changer tool for teachers and for students, particularly regarding teacher workload. And like I said before, one of my passions is helping take the burden off of busy teachers. And this is absolutely the right tool for this. So this is new. I think it's only been launched. Is it maybe a week or two, Jon? It's fairly new, isn't it?
Yeah, no. it's in the last fortnight, and I would say that there are lots of teachers I think that have tried it and feel the same as you about it really being a game changer in terms of how they're able to share lots of sort of short information sets, but in a way that's immediately accessible for their students. So yeah, I'm really excited to see this, Matt.
Super. So top left-hand corner, you click on Create, and you'll see a new flashcards section down the bottom here. And this allows you to generate flashcards for your students that you can show them or you can share with them with definitions on one side and keywords or key phrases on the other. And there are a few different ways of doing this. You can either create your flashcards from scratch, but actually what we're starting to encourage our teachers to do, and I'm sure lots of you are doing the same here, is use AI to do some of that kind of heavy lifting. So if we stick on generate with AI, you can either type in your terms and definitions or paste in paragraphs to generate flashcards, and Quizizz will scan the document and pull out those keywords and pull out those key phrases for you, saving you significant time. You can download you can upload a document. So if you've got a kind of scheme of work or a PDF full of information that you want to do that with, you can do that too. You can also type in the name of a topic if you want to. But the one I'm going to show you today, which is probably my favorite, is the articles way of generating this. Now, I'm not a geography teacher. I didn't do very well with geography at school at all, actually. But I found this information on BBC Bitesize, and it's for a year 12 class, and it's about wave types. And the reason I found this is I was with one of my child's friends at the weekend. She was talking about learning about waves in geography, and I thought, well, that's something I don't know anything about. So you find the link of the resource that you want anywhere online, or like I said, you can upload it as a document. And we're just going to copy that and paste it into the Generate with AI box just here. And what this will do is start sourcing this information. It will start putting through keywords and the definitions for them. You can select how many flashcards you'd like to make. So I'm going to set this to be 10. And just to help it out a little bit, you select your subject and your year group down the bottom here. And then you press Generate Flashcards. Now, what this does, like I said, is this will scan that web page, or it will scan that document, and it will start pulling out that key terminology, the key definitions, and turn these into interactive flashcards that you can present to your class. I can see that Karen's saying this is impressive, and it absolutely is. And I know if I was in the classroom, this would be saving me so much time. I used to do this manually as a teacher. I'd spend ages writing, making flashcards in a digital form or something like that. So you can then check through. Here are my flashcards that have been automatically generated. You can use AI here to add similar flashcards if you want to. You can also use AI to fix any grammar errors, not that I found any yet. And really impressively, and I'll show you this in a moment, you can also translate these. So if you've got children with various languages in your classroom, and you want them to start developing their understanding of these key terms, this can do it for you. When you press preview, it will show you, based on this document, a question and then the answer. So it's pulled out that information from that article, and you can flick these through. I was thinking if I was in the classroom, this would be a really good way of starting a lesson or of ending a lesson, just going through that kind of key terminology that we need to keep our students, we need to keep that kind of front and center all the time. So you can either do it like that. You can also switch the flashcards from front to back if you want to. And if I preview these now, you'll see it will come up with the actual definition. And then you can ask the question, a bit like that game show. I'm not sure what that's called. There's a great game show where you've got to work out what the question is. So let's look at this. The fetch, how far the wave has traveled, the strength of the wind and how long the wind has been blowing. What is that? What factors determine the size and energy of a wave? So it's a great way of building on that vocabulary and keeping it kind of rich and in front of the class as well. You can go ahead and publish these flashcards to your students, or you can just use them in preview mode. But where this gets really exciting for me, particularly working in an international school group, is that if we press the Translate Flashcards button here, and you pick a language, and there's Spanish and French and more as well, and they're not listed here. So if I've got a French student that's just joined and I want them to understand these key terms, it will automatically translate these into French for that one student. And that for me, in terms of teacher capacity, would have taken me a good 45 minutes, an hour to do, and then the translation side of it as well. So a really, really powerful new tool from Quizizz that I think is really impressive. And like I said, that terminology is so important in education. We know that those key terms, we just need to keep going through them. What a quick, clever way of helping your students learn some of that key vocab. So there's my presentation. Thanks, Jon.
Thank you so much, Matt. That was absolutely brilliant. And there was lots of conversation happening as you were demonstrating. I think that people's jaws dropping at how quick you were able to sort of do that and then talk about the different AI enhancements and translation into another language and doing all of this. Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you. That was awesome.
No worries.
So finally, it is my absolute privilege and pleasure to introduce you all to Maggie McWilliams. Maggie is another one of our UK School Champions, and we've been speaking about the UK School Champions programme. If you'd like to find out more, join the Facebook group or just send me an email on jon@quizizz.com and I'll send you over the links for application. But Maggie, good evening. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Slotting in at the end and loving what everyone else was saying. I think that quite a lot of people said about students loving Mastery Peak. My year 13, it's like their favourite thing in the whole entire world. They absolutely love it. And I suppose that comes to one of the things which I was going to talk about, which was about recording their data and looking at using their data really helpfully in Quizizz. So I've been using Quizizz I definitely was using it in lockdown, so a long time, I think. So a lot of what I was using it in lockdown for was lessons, so I could build lessons that meant that the students that were attending, I could see that they'd actually completed them, as opposed to sending them a PowerPoint and filling in a worksheet. And in my school that I'm in now, until this year, we hadn't had kind of anything for the students to do quizzes on. So when you introduce paper mode, which I know nobody's talked about, but everyone should look up, that completely revolutionized my way of using Quizizz. So I would definitely recommend going out and finding out about paper mode. So when I look at Quizizz, when I use Quizizz, and particularly when I used it in my last school, we used the premium features to build our Key Stage 3 assessment. So I'm a history teacher, so history obviously is a lot of knowledge but also a lot of skills, and so we could really easily pull up their knowledge data, but actually the way in which Quizizz could record, once we've marked their work on Quizizz, the skills data as well, and have a really clear mark book showing the student progress is just brilliant. I like Matt, I'm always desperate to speak very quickly as well, sorry. I'm always desperate to find shortcuts, things that are going to make it much easier, particularly with such a heavy written subject. And being able to look at student data and pull that off really easily and see student progress. So with my year 13 last year, where they did have access to devices, when we did those Mastery Peak challenges, I could see exactly what types of questions and what areas of knowledge they were struggling with, because I was using it regularly every lesson as low stakes testing. And the other thing is, once you've got into that routine, the students get into the routine of it, so they're using it really effectively and very quickly. So it's shorthand for them. So sorry, I talk quickly.
No, that was great, Maggie. I was actually just scribbling down there some of those highlights for my own, like, wow, that's a really good example of this, and that's a great example of that. And so you mentioned, and Farrah spoke about it as well. So Mastery Peak, for anyone that hasn't explored that, it's a really wonderful opportunity for teachers to set a predetermined level of mastery for all of their students. And I know that you're also, and where you've been using Quizizz for a few years, is that data element has been really important, not only in your own class, but the work that you're doing across the school. If you were to think about so your role in the classroom, or perhaps if you're working with colleagues in your school, is there one feature or is there one particular win outside of Mastery Peak and paper mode that has perhaps been something that you found has been a real hit in the past few months for you?
Well, my department have been really excited by the use of AI. So the ability, because we've all been given iPads, So we can scan material really quickly, load that up. And then because I'm in a humanities department, I think it's quite different to what Matt and Farrah are talking about. We are looking at a lot of that knowledge-based kind of low stakes testing. And so doing that really regularly and having those the records of exactly what the students are achieving, and particularly because it's color coded, which I love. So you can see which students are green. I used Quizizz this morning, and being able to see the progress of my students so simply and to keep records of that has been really great. And that's something that we are looking to work more on and develop this term, really, now that we've got this full whole school digital strategy going out. So
amazing. And I will say this, like, because I've said it internally to the team as well, is like, so a really important part from our perspective of when people go through the Champions application is they can either submit a video and audio. The way that Maggie spoke about data and your but it was really great, because lots of people, Maggie, were focused on the sort of features. But what I loved, particularly with my sort of former school leader hat on, is that felt for you as actually something that, yes, Quizizz was great and had all this rich functionality to support teachers and students, but then it was the data piece. And are you able to share a little bit more? So you mentioned the color coding, but is there anything else that you think people might benefit from the data side?
I think the thing is, it's just making sure that you have your classes set up so that you can record that data. Because, like I say, I'm always trying to find shortcuts to do things very quickly and to ensure that I can really clearly assess my students. So having those classes set up, using the feature by connecting it, as I did in my last school, to Google Classroom, or as I do in my current school, to Teams, it just makes it really easy to keep a really clear record of what your students have got. And you don't even need to export the mark books. You don't need to remove the material, because having it all in one place, I think it's been really effective to keep an eye on what those, well, in my case, girls are doing.
Brilliant. Thank you, Maggie. And if I could ask Farrah and Matt to turn on their cameras again, if they're still here with us. It would just be a really nice opportunity. I just want to make sure that I say, on behalf of all the team at Quizizz and all the 100 and almost 50 that we have on the call now, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening, second or third week back of the school term, to be sharing something that's really resonated and been a win for you. So I just want to say, you've all been amazing. And a huge debt of gratitude to you all. Thank you. Awesome. So we are now at the end of this webinar. But please feel free, everyone, to follow those links. We are, as we've said, going to be sharing a link to the recording, which will also give you information of how you might want to join the community. Any, for example, PD decks that you might want to leverage inside your own school communities. We've also, I almost forgot, we've also got a brand new initiative called a Lunch and Learn. There's a form for that. And if you fill that in, we will make sure, we will do our best to get some nice, healthy snacks over to you and your colleagues as you do a little bit of diving into Quizizz. But I think there might be a Google form being shared for feedback. But if you don't manage to jump onto that now, we're going to be sharing that in the email as well. But yeah, that is all from me, and also from Deeksha, who, as always, has done a brilliant job behind the scenes, moderating everything. So huge thank you again to Maggie, to Farrah, and to Matt, and to all of you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and hope to connect with you all soon. Cheers, everyone. Bye for now.